For this presentation, I will be giving a brief overview of the POP3s and the SMTPS servers. So the first server that I do have here would be the POP3s, and that would be for the Linux dovecot. The second slide that I have on here would be the hardening recommendations for that server. And then on the original slide, I give a brief overview of what the server is. For the hardening recommendations, I just provide what recommendations I do recommend, as well as how it is used and why it is necessary to be used, as well as what the cons would be if it is not used. The fourth slide that I do have here is the SMTPS Windows IIS. So on this slide, I'm just giving a brief overview of the Windows system. And then on the fifth slide, I have the SMTPS postfix. So as well, that is my brief overview for that. And then the two slides underneath, the one slide underneath contains the hardening recommendations for both the postfix and the Windows IIS. And just as explained before, these hardening recommendations would basically state why it's necessary for the recommendations to be used, as well as a brief overview of what the recommendation is. POP3s, also known as the Security Post Office Protocol, does not require any special administration and uses minimal memory. Data is encrypted using secure socket layers and the transport layer security. The security protocol uses port 995 when dealing with Linux dovecot. While supporting various authentication databases, dovecot allows mailboxes and their indexes to be modified by multiple computers at once, while still being able to perform well. It's also an open source for IMAP and POP3s servers using Linux. On this slide, I have the recommendations for the Security Post Office Protocol. So the first recommendation would be to update the IP tables to enable traffic through the secure socket layer through the firewall. Enabling traffic through the firewall allows the firewall to decrypt and inspect traffic. And below, we have the code that allows you to do this. The second recommendation would be to require the user's identification with a password login. The information is required so the organization can effectively control access to confidential data, and it also allows migrates to risk of data breaches and protects users' privacy. And then once again, we have the code for that as well down here, and it is with dovecot. And last recommendation would be to update IP tables to enable internet access message protocol ports from dovecot. And then below we have the installation code and then how to enable the ports as well. SMTPS, also known as the Simple Mail Transfer Protocol Secure, is a communication protocol that is used for email transfer. It is commonly used to relay messages and submit to another email server. And then here I have an example. So this is Microsoft Outlook submitting that message over to Microsoft Exchange. The Simple Mail Transfer Protocol Secure also works with Mail Transfer Agent, which is used to ensure that emails being sent has been delivered to the right recipient. And then below here, we have the Simple Mail Transfer Protocol Secure IIS, and IIS stands for the Internet Information Services. It is a Microsoft web server which runs on a Windows operating system. It is also used to exchange both static and dynamic web content with internet servers. Last, it accepts requests from remote client computers and returns appropriate responses. On the previous slide, I had an explanation about the Internet Information Services and how it works with the Security Post Office Protocol. On this slide, I'm just explaining how the Security Post Office Protocol works with PostFix. So PostFix is a free open source mail transfer agent which is used for routing and delivering emails. It is a fast, secure, and it is also a light email service solution for Linux servers, also a secure version of SendMail for Linux. Last, it limits denial of service attacks when property is configured. These are the hardening recommendations for the Secure Post Office Protocol. The first recommendation would be to enable the transport layer security encryption for authentication. In doing this, you are encrypting the Security Post Office protocol on transport layer by wrapping it inside of the transport layer security connection. The second recommendation would be to enable and configure filtering policies that protect against spam. Outbound filtering spam prevents users at any organization from sending spam by limiting outbound messages and monitors spam without provided content. Below, I have how that works. So first, you start by email, go through policies, add a policy, and then it takes you to the security post office protocol, spam scan, and then from there, you go ahead and do your scan. And then the last recommendation would be to enforce antivirus scannings of emails. This automatically reviews all messages for malware, spam, and viruses. And then below, I also have in bold how that works as well. So it will start with configuration, protect, next, and then email policies, legacy mode, system post office protocol, malware scan, and then it will ask you to enter your identity. And that concludes my presentation. So this slide here is the resources slide. Um, I just want to go over a few of them that I have used, all of them that I have used, as well as which slides they were used on. Um, so the first source that I have here is coming from sophos.com, and that is to add an SMTP spam scan policy. And I basically use this source on the first two slides just to give me that brief overview of that server. The second one here was to enable SMTPS port 465 and postfix SMTP server for email submission. And then as you scroll down, I believe it is my fifth slide. You can see that that is where I introduced postfix, and then the hardening recommendations are on the sixth slide. But this source was more so necessarily used for the sixth slide. So if you do want to check those there, you can go back to that sixth slide and then go to this website and you will see those there. Second source that I used was the application firewall wizard. And this is sonicwall.com. Oh, sorry, didn't think I mentioned my other source, the website for that. That source is called linuxbabe.com. But back to the application firewall wizard that is coming from sonicwall.com once again. And this was more so used in the Windows spots in this PowerPoint. So that would be the SMTPS Windows IIS, so on and so forth. So as you scroll up to the top, any other Windows that I did use would be this link. The last link that I do have here is to, sorry, the last source that I do have here is to enable IMAP and POP3s with Dovecot in Ubuntu. Ubuntu server, as well as the Ubuntu server. It's coming from the hosting ultraraso.com, and that is used on my first 3 slides. So if you do want to go look up that source there, it would only contain the information from those first 3 slides, but I more so use this website to locate any hardening recommendations. Oh, not my bad, explanation of hardening recommendations for that specific category.